Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 183, A Ghost of Chance. The episode begins with Ash and the gang finally arriving in Ecruteak City after all this goddamn time, thanks to being led on the right path by the old man at the end of last episode. Immediately upon entry, Ash and the gang spot one of the city's most famous landmarks, the Tin Tower, a very, very tall tower. Brock notes that this tower was supposed to be very close by to the gym, so this immediately sets Ash's mind solely on the gym. That's all that he cared about at this point, was getting his 4th badge, and I couldn't blame him, because it's been quite a while since his battle against Whitney. Brock and Misty quickly follow as to not lose Ash, as they knew that since he was so dedicated to finding this gym, he could end up getting separated from them. When Misty and Brock walk through the town, they notice how it seems a lot more old-fashioned in design, and was probably very old. This is only reaffirmed when Brock reads a sign close by to the tower that said that the city values tradition. Just then, Ash and the gang spot a flame in the sky that came from someone's mouth for some reason. Why was this? Well, there was a fire-breathing clown, obviously, he just liked to pull some tricks, named Infernando, and he suddenly showed up and instantly knew that Ash and the gang were new in town when he saw Brock checking out his map. It was this reason why he walked up to them in the first place, so he could offer them an old-looking treasure detector that was meant to be able to find old things in the city. Adding that these things could include old currency or old artifacts, stating that this treasure hunter was just the item that they needed if they wanted to get rich as hell. Ash and Misty obviously just saw him as your standard solicitor trying to sell you shit, so they tried to walk past him, informing him that they just wanted to get to the city's gym. Infernando tried to rebuttal that you could use the treasure hunter machine at the gym to find some rare shit, but Ash and Misty continued on their way anyways. Brock stayed back though, as he kind of wanted this treasure hunter machine so that he could use it to find girls. However, when Misty heard this, she immediately turned back and dragged Brock with them by the ear. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, they were currently sitting in Ecruteak City as well, by the fountain, and Wobbuffet was even taking a swim. Wobbuffet was the only Team Rocket member enjoying himself though, as Jessie and Meowth were extremely depressed at the fact that they had lost Ash and the gang from their sights, because they were usually fucking spying on them. And they were also fucking sad about the fact that they barely had any money to afford food, aside from the little bit that was left in Jessie's purse. Yeah, that's right, I guess Jessie had a purse, but anyways, James tries to console Meowth and Jessie, at least on the fact that they didn't know where Ash and the gang were, noting that they were probably heading for the city's gym, since that's what they usually did. This didn't stop Jessie and Meowth's bitchiness about not having a whole bunch of food, so Jessie decides to order James to go buy some food with the remainder of her money in her purse. I'm surprised that Jessie wouldn't do this herself, because if it was her money in her purse, then maybe she'd want to spend it, but James agrees to go buy some food, has Ash and the gang show up at the supposed gym, being surprised by how old and different it looked, as well as the fact that there was an Arcanine statue. I don't know why you guys were surprised that the gym looks old and different when the entire town was old. Anyways though, back to James. He unfortunately couldn't find any food, but he did stumble upon the same solicitor from earlier, Infernando. Unlike Ash and the gang though, James was stupid as fuck, so he was able to fall for Infernando's request of buying this treasure hunting machine, believing that Team Rocket could use it to find treasure and make themselves rich. However, when James returned to Jessie and Meowth, they instantly screamed at him for not only failing to find food, but for spending all their remaining cash on what they perceived as a useless device. As Jessie and Meowth proceeded to hit James on the head and beat him up for his failures, James protested that the treasure hunter was a good investment because it could likely be used to find treasure to make Team Rocket rich if they sold it, adding that they could buy all the goddamn food they wanted if they had money. He tries to prove that the treasure hunter was a good investment as he turns it on and begins searching for treasure. Eventually, it starts blinking, which indicates that something was indeed buried nearby, so James took out a shovel and managed to dig up a shining object in the ground. James was amazed, as he thought that maybe it was like a diamond or some shit, but no, it was a bottle cap. However, James was immensely pleased by this, as he loved bottle caps. Jessie and Meowth were of course disappointed, however, wishing that the detector could simply find a pizza instead, as James thanked God that the detector was able to make such an awesome discovery. Man, why the fuck do you like bottle caps so much? Meanwhile, back at the Ecruteak City gym, Misty was questioning if the gym really was the goddamn gym, which Brock assured her after looking in his guidebook. But the reason why Misty was questioning if this gym was the gym was because it didn't look like your typical gym. Instead, it was designed like the tower that Ash and the gang had spotted earlier, and it looked about as old. Brock then noticed that the tower was barely even standing because it looked extremely burnt, adding that these burns looked old as well, after looking in his guidebook to confirm that yes, the tower was burned down a bit. Ash and the gang finally decide to go inside the gym, despite it being an old burned down tower. And unbeknownst to them, immediately upon entry, a shadow passes behind them, and shortly after, the already burned down tower is engulfed in flames once again, which Ash and the gang are aware of. Noting how this fire came seemingly out of nowhere, Ash and the gang try their best to escape it, not by running back outside the gym, no, but by running into the gym's basement. However, the flames simply follow them there. Since they were now trapped in the basement, Ash and Misty resorted to sending out their water Pokemon, Totodile and Staryu, to use water gun on the fire, but it was somehow ineffective. Totodile thought that he simply wasn't close enough to the fire, so he decided to go closer, but even so, this still had no effect. This led Totodile to do a very shocking move, as he then jumped into the flames in an attempt to put them out from an extremely close-up range. I don't know why Ash was shocked at this, though. I mean, he was reckless. He should expect his Pokemon to be reckless. Fortunately, though, Totodile didn't burn itself, despite running into the flames. This led Ash and the gang to come to the conclusion that since the flames were not hot enough to burn Totodile, then they must not have even been real, instead being an illusion. Upon hearing the word illusion, Ash immediately gets the idea to send out his Noctowl to use Foresight, which would reveal the illusions and what they actually were. if he remembered Hoot Hoot's ability to do so, meaning that Noctowl would be able to as well. The foresight does in fact reveal that the illusions were actually ghastly, since foresight had the power to reveal ghost Pokemon, which were usually the cause of illusions, and yes, that was the case this time as well. Upon being spotted, the ghastly panic and tried to use Nightshade on Noctowl, only for Noctowl to tackle them, since that worked because foresight allowed ghost types to be hit by normal moves, despite usually not being able to. The tackle scares the ghastly off as they run away, much to Ash and the gang's relief. However, their relief only lasts like 2 seconds, as the ghastly quickly come back, this time with some Haunter on their side as well. Ash tries to take out the Ghastly and Haunter by having Pikachu use Thunderbolt, but the Ghastly and Haunter simply use their ghost-like abilities to disappear to dodge the Thunderbolt, and then they all surround Pikachu and Ash and the gang. To make matters worse, a Gengar then appeared, which immediately worried Ash and the gang that the Gengar was gonna fucking kill their asses, as even the Ghastly and Haunter seemed a little scared of it. Maybe it was just because they respected it as its leader though, who knew? Regardless, Ash ordered Pikachu to use another Thunderbolt, despite their current situation. Right before Pikachu can get off the Thunderbolt though, a voice then yells from the nearby stairs. Ash and the gang look over at the source of the voice to find a young blonde dude who commands Ash to stop trying to fight the ghost Pokemon, as all the ghost Pokemon flock towards him happily. The man then assures Ash and the gang that the ghost Pokemon were not trying to hurt them, but were trying to protect the gym after they felt that Ash and the gang were threatening it upon entry. However, I don't know why the ghost Pokemon would think this when there was supposed to be challengers to the gym, right? So people should have been coming in all the time. Ash questions this, and also demands to know where the fuck the gym leader even was, only for the man to reveal himself as Morty, clarifying that he was the Ecruteak City gym leader. Ash and the gang were obviously shocked by this, and Brock and Misty only wanted to question Morty further, but Ash on the other hand was just super excited to even find the gym leader, so he immediately just challenged Morty to a battle. Morty smiles, telling Ash that he would love to have a fucking gym battle, but adds that they could only do it at his actual gym, explaining that this tower wasn't the gym after all, despite what Brock's guidebook said. Morty states that they were instead at the burned tower, leading Ash and the gang to remark that, yeah, no shit, this tower was burned. What was significant about it? Morty clarifies that the place's name was the burned tower, adding that it was once a happy place filled with brightness and happiness, but has since come to be the home of many ghost-type Pokemon, due to it now being destroyed and burned. Ash and the gang then apologize to the ghost Pokemon, understanding why they got mad at them for trying to trespass into their home. Ash then gets distracted from this apology when he spots a wooden carving on the wall that reminded him of something. After realizing that it was a carving of a bird Pokemon, Ash realized that it reminded him of that majestic bird Pokemon that even the Pokedex couldn't identify back during the first episode when Ash and Pikachu saw it in Pallet Town. Morty then revealed that this bird Pokemon was the legendary Pokemon Ho-Oh. Ash revealed to Morty that he had saw Ho-Oh before though, leading Morty to simply rebuttal that Ho-Oh hadn't been seen in centuries, so it was way too rare for Ash to have spotted, stating that Ash must have actually saw a different Pokemon. Upon learning of this legendary bird, Ash and the gang wanted to know what else was so legendary about Ecruteak City, leading Morty to reveal a lot of its history, including the history of the burned tower that they were currently standing in, explaining the fact that Tin Tower that Ash and the gang had saw earlier was actually meant to be a copy version of this tower, in an attempt to replace it after the original, being this burned tower, was burned down 300 years ago. Morty then explains the history of this tower and how it related to the Ho-Oh, explaining that there was a family that guarded the burned tower for generations, and they worshipped Ho-Oh, who often appeared at the tower. Unfortunately, a group of evil thieves wanted to steal the Ho-Oh and use it for evil purposes, so the thieves burned down the tower in an attempt to get Ho-Oh to come to it and try and save it so that they could capture it, but all burning the tower ended up doing was ensuring that Ho-Oh would never come back to it again, believing the tower to be dangerous, so this led the family to build an entirely new tower, being the Tin Tower, in hopes that Ho-Oh would return to that one, instead leaving the now burned tower as a memorial, to remember what had happened. Unfortunately, Ho-Oh never appeared at the new tower, and Morty once again clarified that it has never been seen since, leading Ash to remember that Morty must have been wrong, as he was sure he had seen it. While Morty was explaining all this exposition, Togepi was of course getting bored, so it wandered off, with Pikachu noticing that it was heading for a small hole in the wall below the carving of the Ho-Oh. Pikachu noticed that this hole would be the perfect size for Togepi to fall into, and immediately worried that that's what Togepi was going to do. This leads Pikachu to try and intervene, but Togepi ends up falling into the hole first, meaning that Pikachu had to jump in after it to try and save it, meaning that they both fell down the hole. Ash and the gang and Morty see this, and Morty obviously concludes that since they fell down the hole, they fell downstairs. So, Morty leads Ash and the gang downstairs, back to the main floor of the tower, and eventually manages to locate another room after going through what almost seemed like a maze due to how complicated the tower was. Unfortunately, the door to the room was stuck shut, so Morty had to apply a lot of fucking force to get it open, and when he did, he heard the tower shake, which made him realize that the burned tower was obviously so damaged and weak due to the support beams being burned, so he comes to the conclusion that it wasn't safe for him and Ash and the gang to continue running around the tower, as that could cause the remains of the tower to become even more damaged due to Ash and the gang's weight. So, Morty decides to send out his weightless ghost Pokemon, and Gengar, the leader of all the ghost Pokemon, commands the Ghastly and Haunter to search for Pikachu and Togepi, meaning that Ash and the gang wouldn't have to walk around. Misty, obviously immensely concerned for Togepi, questioned if ghost Pokemon were really meant for the job of finding such a delicate little thing because of how dangerous ghost Pokemon could be, but Morty assured her that they were perfectly fine. Speaking of Pikachu and Togepi, Pikachu was able to finally catch up to Togepi, but Togepi simply ran faster after falling down the hole, leading Pikachu to have to pick up the pace as well. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, James had become even more determined to keep using the treasure hunting device after learning that it could find bottle caps, and he eventually led Jessie and Meowth to the burned tower where there was plenty of caps. James was obviously fully content with this, but Jessie and Meowth, on the other hand, wanted money as opposed to bottle caps, with Jessie suggesting that they should sell the bottle caps for money. James was obviously mad at this, stating that the bottle caps made him happy, even though money would as well. Jessie tries to explain this to James, but James counters that he was nowhere near as money hungry as Jessie and Meowth, with Meowth countering that they weren't just money hungry, but just hungry to begin with, and that was the reason why they wanted the goddamn money. Meowth and James both then stare lovingly at the bag of bottle caps that James had collected, with Meowth having the desire to sell them, and James having the desire to keep them. James tried his best to keep the bag away from Meowth, only for Meowth to try and chase him down. While Meowth was chasing James, though, all of Team Rocket spotted Togepi, who had now managed to escape the burned tower. As soon as Team Rocket spotted Togepi, they were instantly happy with the fact that maybe they didn't have to argue about making money from bottle caps, as they could make money by giving Togepi to Giovanni. Team Rocket then got even more happy as they saw Pikachu closely follow Togepi, meaning that they could capture Pikachu and sell him as well. Pikachu prepares to shock Team Rocket to scare them off. However, Team Rocket was too quick and grabbed Togepi, warning that if Pikachu now zapped them, then he would zap Togepi as well, and Pikachu obviously didn't want to do this, so he backed down. With Pikachu now unable to do anything, Jessie and James captured Pikachu as well, and now they had both of them, causing Team Rocket to celebrate extremely loudly. This shouting alerts one of the Ghastly that was looking for Pikachu and Togepi, and it manages to spot Team Rocket with them, so it goes back to report the situation to Morty. Morty then informs Ash and the gang, but Ash didn't even fucking care at this point, as he was more concerned about how the fuck Morty could understand what Ghastly said. Thank God that Ash asked this question. Morty simply revealed that the reason why he could understand the Ghastly was because of practice. Alright, so could any trainer do this? I hope so. Anyways, all the ghost Pokemon reconvene, and Morty and Ash and the gang, along with all of them, go outside of the tower in order to find Team Rocket and Togepi and Pikachu, as Team Rocket were unfortunately trying to run away, with Pikachu and Togepi strapped to Meowth and James' backs. But thankfully, Morty's Gengar, the leader of the group, used a lick on Team Rocket to get them caught in its tongue and cause them to trip over, doing so after quickly appearing by them before Ash and the gang and Morty could catch up. By the time Ash and the gang and Morty had caught up, though, Gengar had not only tripped Team Rocket with its tongue, but had since appeared in front of them in an attempt to use Scary Face on them to scare them. However, Team Rocket weren't intimidated that much, as ironically, they were too busy fighting with each other as opposed to the Gengar, blaming each other for the fall in disbelief that a ghost Pokemon still could have done it, since Gengar was barely visible due to the amount that it disappeared and reappeared, so a lot of the time it would be nearly invisible. Anyways, Ash and the gang and Morty had shown up at this point, and Ash immediately ran to go rescue Togepi and Pikachu, as Team Rocket were busy doing their motto, which Ash was trying to cut off by shouting that they should give Pikachu back. But when Ash arrived to save Pikachu and Togepi, Meowth then stopped doing the motto and scratched Ash in the face. Jessie and James congratulated Meowth on the successful attack as they continued their motto, taunting that they would never give Pikachu and Togepi back as they waved them in front of their faces. Ash and Misty were angered by this taunt, so demanded the usual battle with Team Rocket, leading Team Rocket to agree so that they could beat Ash and Misty's asses. But Meowth stopped them from sending out Arbok and Weezing, saying that they always lost any battle that they partook in by being blasted off, adding that they really didn't need a battle and they could just run away instead. Jessie and James eventually agreed to this, with James being the most hesitant, and they all ran off, leading Ash and the gang and all of the ghost Pokemon, including Gengar, to follow. As they were running, Morty then ordered Gengar to go up to Team Rocket and attack on its own, and Gengar obliged, going after Team Rocket to battle them. However, when Gengar reaches Team Rocket, Jessie and James do decide to send out their Arbok and Weezing to slow Gengar down, so that it couldn't catch up to them while they were running. Arbok and Weezing instantly go to attack Gengar, but Gengar escapes the attack by teleporting away from them, by disappearing into the ground, which confused Arbok and Weezing, so Gengar then snuck up behind them, allowing it to catch them off guard and knock them down into a nearby pole on the tower, which knocks them fully out. This allows Gengar to fully go up to only Team Rocket and block them off from continuing to run, which in turn allows Ash and the gang to catch up to Team Rocket, and Morty demands to know why Team Rocket was stealing Pokemon, as he was appalled by trainers who would do such things, comparing them to the evil trainers from the tower originally who scared away Ho-Oh. When Team Rocket reveal their reasoning for wanting to steal Pikachu and Togepi, Morty is obviously left disappointed, as they really had no reason other than wanting to make some money. So as punishment, Morty orders Gengar to use Nightshade, which attacks Team Rocket, causing them to drop Pikachu and Togepi, sending them flying into the air. Thankfully, the Ghastly and Haunter were able to catch Pikachu and Togepi midair before they fell, and return them into Ash and Misty's arms. As Ash and Misty happily reunited with Pikachu and Togepi, comforting them, this gave Arbok and Weezing enough time to recover from Gengar's previous attacks, and Team Rocket were furious at Gengar and wanted revenge, so they ordered Arbok and Weezing to get some for them. Arbok and Weezing obliged, as they dived straight for Gengar all at once, leading Gengar to disappear due to Morty's command. And since Arbok and Weezing now had no one to crash into, they crashed into the ground instead. This leads Gengar to laugh and taunt Arbok and Weezing as it reappears, which angered Arbok immensely, and due to its anger, it was able to actually wrap itself around Gengar, being able to catch Gengar off guard for a brief moment, but Gengar merely disappeared, teleporting out of the wrap. With Gengar free, Morty orders it to end the battle with its most powerful attack, being Shadow Ball. Team Rocket dumbly command Arbok and Weezing to take the attack head-on in an attempt to stop it. But this just of course results in the Shadow Ball hitting Arbok and Weezing head-on, sending them blasting off along with Team Rocket, who they crashed into. Ash was amazed by Shadow Ball's power, as not a lot of moves were able to send Team Rocket blasting off with one single attack, aside from Pikachu's Thunderbolt. Misty was also in amazement, pointing out the giant crater left on the ground after the Shadow Ball had hit it, implying its sheer power. Brock then warned Ash and Misty to not get too amazed though, as Ash would probably have to face the Shadow Ball during his gym battle with Morty, since Morty would obviously use his ace Gengar in the battle. As if on cue, Gengar appeared and smiled at Ash menacingly, insinuating that Brock was probably right. Morty then suggests that him and Ash have their battle tomorrow, as opposed to today, arguing that all of his Pokemon, along with Pikachu for that matter, were probably tired out from dealing with Team Rocket. Ash agrees, stating that he needed sleep to be able to focus properly on the battle, and therefore it was officially decided that Ash's 4th gym battle would take place tomorrow. Ash and the gang then say goodbye to Morty for now, as he leaves to go into the burned tower once again. As the episode ends with Brock and Misty warning Ash that Morty was going to be a difficult opponent to deal with. However, Ash was not that worried. He was going to come up with a strategy no matter what.